Hi, I'm Camden Mayor Vic Karstafen. I am proud to kick off our Camden Speaks series. This series will feature Camden icons as they tell their story in their own words. Their story is your story, it is our story, and it is Camden's story. I hope you enjoy this unique series which highlights the legacy of our city Invincible. It takes teamwork to make a real change occur within a community. So remember, together we are all Camden Strong.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Primus. We're here at the Idea Center for the Arts, honoring a Camden icon. Her name is Carol Lewis. She's a Camden native, an artist who's being honored by the City of Camden and the Mayor's Office for her long-standing contributions. Welcome, Dr. Carol Lewis. How are you?
Wonderful today, and glad to be here and interviewed with such wonderful people, and I'm glad to be in the presence of our mayor.
Great. And so, what was it like growing up in Camden? And what neighborhood did you live in particular?
I grew up in Parkside section of Camden, and it was a very, very close-knit family type of environment. Everyone looked after everyone's kids. Talent galore. Just music in the homes, and just a wonderful mothers and parents. We had our different community organizations, our churches and so forth, and just so much rich history is in the city of Camden.
Mm-hmm. I understand you come from a musical family. When and how did music become your passion?
I grew up with it. My grandmother taught piano lessons, and my grandfather was a concert flautist and an orchestra director. And I just kind of took a love to the music. My sisters and I would study 2 instruments, so I just kind of just grew into a career for me.
Mm-hmm. Did you do any side concerts, or was it just sort of playing, but for your family?
No, we always did concerts, and I went into the professional music and so forth. And I've worked with several icons that are in Camden that have gone on to be major artist.
Can you name some of them?
Osceola Davis. People forget about Osceola
Really?
Davis. Was a member of the Metropolitan Opera. And I used to play the flute solos for her with Queen of the Night. Eric Jackson is a huge DJ in Boston. He lived around the corner. His father and all the great musicians, Duke Ellington and all them would visit his home. And so yes, it's just rich. We had the Philadelphia International Records spearheaded with Leon Huff, and of course the infamous the Sweeties, Carla, Barbara, and Yvette. Victor Karstafen was with the Temptations, and he was just a wonderful, wonderful composer, wonderful man. We just had so much rich history. Nelson Boyd, I can just think of so many of them. A bass player, Richard Groove Holmes, of course. Buster Williams. I went to school with his daughter, his sisters, Marie and Joyce, and we were just surrounded by music. But in once Philadelphia, and Keith Benson, Carlin Benson, Jimmy Williams, once that Philadelphia International was established by Leon Huff, then it just was made whole from the people from Camden.
Camden has an amazing talent. I keep hearing the history from my husband, Theo.
Yes,
who also was
he
a
was
musician.
one of the Mr. James Mumford was one that fostered a lot of the singers and a lot of the. He was a teacher at Camden High. Before I was there, Mr. Hank Ash. I want to shout out and give them a recognition. It wasn't just one person. So many people, and everyone just contributed. Everyone just gave. I would and as well as the other teachers, if kids wanted to learn, there was just nothing we wouldn't do to help
Right.
them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my grandmother used to have piano recitals and so forth, and we would play duets and trios and
Wow.
and just you know, play for church, play for just so many. Back then it was a Channel 6. I can't remember the name of it. My sister and I did Rhapsody in Blue on the television, and you know, it was just Chief Halftown and Sally Starr used to have a program. Kids would be on there.
Really?
She's not from Camden, but the Fabian Hunter Brown at this point was on the Ted Mack show back in the day, and so it was just talent,
This
talent,
kind of
talent,
history
talent,
has
talent.
not been, you know, it's just, you really don't hear this kind of history in Camden and the kind of people that came
Camden
through.
is so rich. It's just amazing, and I think that's a avenue from which to proceed to pull up all these records and pull up all these things. You know,
So much rich history. It's amazing. What got you into teaching music, and what was your musical education like?
I always enjoyed teaching. I used to teach piano lessons when I was younger, and I went into at Temple University, and then I was a professional flutist, and I studied. I used to teach at Moravian College in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and I just enjoy imparting and changing, and I always had a love for orchestrations and so forth. And when I went to Camden High School, I just, you know, spearheaded that into, instead of the stock arrangements, I couldn't get the sound that I wanted.
So you were the band instructor for Camden High School?
Yes, I was. I just couldn't get the sound and the music that I wanted, and I wanted to honor the people that were in Camden and the people that were around, like Philadelphia International, the Ingrams and so forth, and I always tried to structure shows around featuring their music.
Okay. How long were you the instructor there?
That's a good question. From about 3 years, I think it was, yes.
So the band, you were the marching band
Well,
and
we had
the
with
concert
the whole
band.
concert band, jazz band, all of them, yes.
Are you ready to do this again? I'm hearing that the mayor wants something like that to happen again. The All City, were you part of the All City at some point?
I can't remember now. I used to play in All City. We used to have an All City band. Used to play in all these music. And the thing is, Camden always has a structure. And there are programs in place at some of the high schools now that I'm not familiar with all of it, but
Right.
that may be an avenue to look into.
Right.
But
So I think you would be great to kind of give us some guidance on how we could do this again with the kids in Camden, some way.
Yeah, now one
concert
thing
band.
you have now that you have the creative and performing arts, you have a whole school dedicated to the arts now. So, and the Dickinson family is very, very instrumental in that.
Absolutely.
So, and they're just, you know, it's just wonderful. They're just, Ryan Bates was supervisor of music. He just, you know, he was a stellar, and is a stellar alto saxophone player. One thing I did with Camden High, and I hope I instilled in my students, a dream is something that you catch at and it fades away. But I wanted the students to have a vision, to see yourself in this position
Right.
as you proceed, whether it be music, whether it be medicine. Several of my former students are medical doctors. Matter of fact, my medical doctor was one of my students, and I just always catered to and had faith in the students that they would take over leadership.
And speaking of faith, what was the one thing that you experienced as a music teacher that inspired you?
My faith in God. I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and my Savior, and He always had compassion. We have to have compassion for our students. Our students are learning. There's even now and back then, there's so many avenues where they could go astray, but we'd have to guide them and lead them. And the Bible says, train up a child. What that means is you take where the child is and guide them. It's just like a sports trainer.
Right.
He says, all right, then you do this many reps. So you, let's lean this way. Let's curate our workout to this particular area so we can develop this money. So I kind of like watch the students and watch the directions that they wanted to go into, and I tried to curate a love for what they did.
I think what you're talking about has inspired a lot of your students, so much so that a lot of them are here today. Can we give a hand?
Yes, they are.
What are your thoughts about young people today in terms of the music and artistic talent? There's never been, a situation where we haven't seen talent in our community, but it's been coming out in different ways. How has all of that, from hip hop or whatever, influenced our youth, and how can we direct it in a sort of a constructive way, in a sense?
One thing it's interesting that you said hip hop, rap, and all of these things. One thing that has evolved from the jazz, from the pop, from the 80s, the 70s, and all that, into the hip hop, into the rap, and all of that, it is starting to pull in poetry, the arts.
Yeah.
The graphics, the spray painting on the walls and so forth, and like that. These are ways the students are expressing themselves.
Absolutely.
We have a wonderful, wonderful artist that is from Camden, Kimberly Camp. She,
Absolutely.
I'm a very, very pro-related arts person. In other words, maybe so you can take a picture and let a musician look at that and say, play what you feel when you look at this portrait or when you look at this. We have to take a hold of our affective domain. It goes into much more than, especially with this COVID-19, with the children being isolated and so forth. I think they need to express themselves more. Standard tests and all these are nice, but there is that affective or that the feeling domain of every person that has to be expressed.
Yes. And so why is it important that our kids learn music?
Because this is one of the things, you play music from how you feel. It's a kinesthetic development. It's mind, body, soul, and spirit. You play an instrument with your whole body. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
When a person improvises, they go from within. When a composer composes, you get with a group. I remember many times that Victor Christopher and John Whitehead and those guys, they would get together over Philadelphia International. They'd spend hours and hours and hours in the studio, and what they would come up with was absolutely amazing. And I think we need to do more of that, asking the children and students, how do you feel? How would you put yourself in a position of this? Give them, it's almost, they have STEM now, but it's STEAM.
Right. They're adding
the art, because that has to be a part of the compositional and a part of the creative process.
Speaking of amazing, you are the mother of one of the most prolific musicians of his generation, Eric Lewis, better known as Elu, who grew up in Camden, of course,
he did, yes.
And you must be really, really proud of him.
Yes. The most thing I'm proud of him is because he really works hard, but he always acknowledges Camden as his home.
Absolutely.
He has never gone worldwide. He always, not Philadelphia, some people, we live in East, no, this is Camden.
Right.
Eric is an amazing talent, not because he's my son, because he works hard. This is his passion. This is his gift. When he was a little guy, 2 years old, he went to the piano and just started playing on it. I said, no, that's not a toy. Then all of a sudden I said, the light bulb came on. I sat him in my lap, and he's been playing piano ever since. So, but
and he's been around the presence of so many greats. Anyone in particular that
President Obama.
Wow.
Mick Jagger. Oh my goodness. Speaking of sports, Kobe Bryant, just Robert De Niro, just many of them.
Yeah.
Then some of the jazz musicians, Chris McBride, Jeff Tane Watts. He played with Wynton Marsalis for about 10, 15 years and jazz at Lincoln Center.
Yeah.
So.
I'm so excited that I was able to interview you and that the community will begin to have the opportunity to hear your wisdom and what you've, experienced. And really the whole idea of music and what you contribute to Camden, we're so honored that you've been able to, come here today and talk about your journey. And so thank you so much, Dr. Lewis.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and we just give God all the glory, and thank God that we just can continue moving on, and His talent is here. All we have to do is continue to curate it.
I agree. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.